Welcome to a new series called Boots on the Ground. Now this series is more on the practical side of real estate.
We are currently here in Parvis. This is a 3-bedroom private lift entrance unit, and what we will be discussing today would be what are some of the things you need to look out for when you are handing back your apartment back to the owner.
So before handing back, what are some of the things you should do? I think
Yes.
the best thing is to do a pre-inspection.
Yeah, I would say this is the step one that I would recommend most of my clients. So what you do is, prior to the handover date, the handing back date, you would actually arrange an appointment maybe 2 weeks before that for your owner to come, or the landlord's representative to take a look at the apartment and to sort out all the things that need to be sorted out so as to get back your full security deposit.
Yes, to make it back to what we call tenantable condition. What is tenantable condition? It's good enough to be rented. Now here is where it's a very gray area of dispute. So we're going to go through this apartment which the tenants have just moved out. They've packed all their stuff. It's empty now. And these are some of the typical questions that people have. Now, what should I do? Should I paint? Should I repair the floor? What are some of the things that we should do before we actually hand back the keys? So that's where the pre-inspection report will actually come in handy, because it will already identify a couple of points which have to be addressed prior to handing back the apartment, right? So I think our professional cleaner is on the way, and the guys are coming to take down the curtains for dry cleaning. So like what you said, these are
What I was going to say is that in your tenancy agreement, you do have certain clauses in it where you have to take a look out for when you are handing back the apartment. So this may vary in different tenancies, but in general, these are the points that are very important. First of all would be your minor repair. So anything that falls under minor repair, the amount stated in your tenancy, this would actually be the tenant's responsibility to fix. So anything from, let's say, fused light bulbs, if your apartment was given to you with all the light bulbs intact, you would have to switch it back, handover condition.
So what if the fixture doesn't work?
You mean in what sense? Like the
The
whole
whole fixture doesn't work.
You have to check if it's below or above the minor repair clause amount. So if it's below that, then you have to fix it. If it's above that, then you get the landlord's approval, because that would be some kind of cost-sharing basis depending on how much is written in your minor repair. Now, apart from that, I think the other things that are important that are mostly in most of the tenancy agreements I have seen, you definitely do have to dry clean the curtains. You have to professionally clean the apartment upon handing back, and you do have to produce receipts of aircon servicing. But this is dependent on what is in your tenancy, because I do know of some where the aircon servicing actually falls under the landlord.
That's right.
Yes.
So the other thing is that although some of these things are not specifically worded in the tenancy, but I think it's just a generally good practice to return the apartment in as good a condition, if not even slightly better, to the landlord. That avoids a lot of arguments, a lot of disputes. Time passes, people's memories are short. So later on, we will also show you why it is important to take very detailed handover photos. Now you can ask your agent to do it, or you can do it yourself. There are also some professional companies that do the kind of inspection report.
Yes, that's before in the handing over.
Yes.
So that's where you have your basis of comparison when you return the unit. So maybe let's take a look at this apartment, and
For
then you
practical
can
reasons. So like going over here, there's like this small scratch, right? It's a crack here right on the floor. So now I'll go back to my handover photos, right? And I identify exactly this photo. And if I blow it up, I can see that this was pre-existing. So you see how important small little details are. Okay, so let's carry on. What about the condition of the walls? What would you say about the walls here, Sharon?
there are a few marks around the walls here and here. There's some lines as well, but I'm not sure if these were present before. If they were, then the landlord would accept this condition. But if this was due to you moving, the big furniture, sometimes it covers or it scratches the walls, and then try to remove it. You could remove it with the
$2 sponge.
Yeah, the sponge you can buy in Daiso. Yeah. Otherwise, if it's really bad, I suggest maybe you just paint over with the paint color that the wall is.
So when painting over, do I just paint over these bits or do I do the whole wall? Which is better?
I mean, of course, in terms of aesthetics, if you can, you paint the whole wall. But if you are on a tight budget, then you just patch up the areas that you have to make good. Yeah.
Now, proviso. If you have halogen lights or you're handing back the apartment in the evening, if you do patchwork, you will see the patches under
that's
the
true.
light.
Yeah.
So I would normally prefer not to shortcut this process, but just get the whole wall repainted. Sometimes I have tenants who actually repaint the whole apartment because they have scuffed the walls, they have small children, they have paintings on the wall. So I think it's good practice generally to make it as good as new or as good as you first got it. So, back here, we can see all this will have to be cleaned. So there's a fluff filter here, which you may want to clean. Now this washing machine, ironically, has never been used.
It's already clean.
It's clean. So the washing machine is also clean. It looks like it's never actually been touched at all. Coming through here, storeroom, again, things like these patchy paintwork, you would refer to the Handover photos to see if it was there. Why we are coming here to the back of the apartment, it's because in a lot of apartments you have to see where the move was done, and of course the movers will protect, but what you need to do is especially take care of all these narrow passages, because that's where they will bump, they will scuff, so you will see generally slightly more wear and tear here, so you should pay attention. Also,
the lights.
What would you do with that?
Replace the light.
Good. So let's carry on. Now, also, you can see things like this. There's a hole. Obviously, this is a hole in the ceiling. If it wasn't there before, patch it up and paint it. Also, you notice that some of the bulbs here are blown. So, I think later ISIS, as part of the professional cleaning, will do that. So let's head on through. And once again, things like these, that has to be patched, repainted. This light bulb has to be fixed. And okay, here is a very important and crucial topic, because everybody always asks, how about my floors? If you have wooden floors, and chances are in most developments, you will have parquet wooden floors like this. So what do you term as fair wear and tear? Now, there's numerous arguments. Obviously, the good thing is to either video the whole floor or to take detailed photographs of the whole floor, because that will show if and not that scuff mark was there. Now, if you have deep gauges and like holes in the floor, I think it will be a good idea just to get a contractor, sand it down, revarnish it so it looks like new. That will also save a lot of time when the landlord puts the property back on the market, because there's really no downtime.
Yeah. And also all these things are not evident when the tenant is still living here, because they would have furniture on the floor. So this is a bit difficult to decipher when there's still a lot of items in the apartment. Okay, so one of the things that I wanted to ask is, what are some of the differences between renting a new apartment versus an old apartment, in terms of what should I look out for in these apartments?
So I think in the older apartment, you take note of the pre-existing wear and tear, things which are very blatantly obvious. I would take even more detailed photographs there. Typically, you also have, aircon, which if it's more than 7 years old, chances are you need to check it properly, because that's right about the lifespan of the air conditioning. look out for watermarks, especially stains on the ceiling,
yes.
especially in the bathrooms where the water heaters are.
The
because
water heater,
sometimes they leak, sometimes they burst, so this could kind of spell trouble. A lot of it is very common sense, but we tend to overlook this.
Yeah, when you just step in an apartment and you are looking at the space, you might overlook all these small details that you should be more alert.
And also the appliances, because you remember, and it's also important to double check if the appliances actually come with the apartment. You remember that?
Yeah,
case
we
with the
had
washing
some
machine.
where you have to also be a bit, just be on the safe side and ask if everything is provided. When they say white goods, be specific. Is the fridge provided? Is the washing machine provided? Because it's not a given.
And you have a 30-day warranty generally.
Yes.
So this is, it's not
That's
a
at the
generic
beginning,
clause in the tenancy, but it's something which you should ask, because during the 30 days, a lot of different items will come out. Okay, so Isis, who is my professional cleaner, is on the way here, so he will take care of most of these, items. He will also repaint most of the apartment here, because some of these walls are obviously a little bit scuffed, and we want to avoid any arguments or disputes. He will clean the whole thing. So once again, how do you prove that the apartment was cleaned? By my helper? I don't have a helper, but if I had a helper.
I always ask for proof of receipt. So you do have some form of reference that yes, I have paid a professional company to come down and clean, and this is my receipt. Yeah.
So the same thing goes for the
dry
curtains
cleaning, yes.
and for the air cons. I
Yes.
think a lot of argument here, because a lot of people, they do one servicing before they hand back the apartment. And sometimes the landlord asks, show me your contract, show me your history. So you have those little receipts every time they come and check the
But
air
I think
conditioning.
for now, you can, what I would suggest is if you're afraid you lose your receipts, one way is because everything is online now, you can ask for e-receipt, or you can actually just take a picture and keep it in your phone. So you have, the record on your phone as well. So
Yes.
anytime you need it, you just have to send
But
it.
please do not manufacture receipts.
Oh, yes.
Because
Yeah,
this is
definitely.
another thing which sometimes happens. So I think just be human about it, be adult about it, own up if there's something that is spoiled that needs attention. Don't leave it for the landlord to discover.
Yeah.
Talk about it. Oh, there's one more point which I wanted to ask to sort of highlight, which is the bathrooms, okay? Because you have to just test it, flush the toilet, okay? See if it flushes, if it's full flush. And of course, these are some of the things you want to check, okay? If there's any leak from the shower, if there is, then just change the shower hose. Little things like this, because we don't know how detailed the landlord will be on handback. Even if you are concerned about, just a little bit of silicone here, just touch it up. Why even, argue about the small things? We don't know how important this is to a particular landlord. You must understand property here is expensive, and the law is on the landlord side. So try to kind of avoid these kind of disputes, because then you have to go either to small claims tribunal, or you have to do mediation.
Yeah.
If mediation fails, then you have to go to high court, you have to act as witness. So there's a lot of unnecessary hassles here. So the other thing is that, okay, in some apartments you may have specialized appliances like Miele. Okay, so Miele has this service where they actually come in and test all the appliances. Now, this is something which is good to do on the very onset of tenancy, before you take the keys, or maybe during the first 30 days. Just ask, okay, let's do a one-time check servicing. Yeah, so is there any other things you want to highlight here?
Maybe just one more point about, like, if you were to rent a new apartment, what's the nice thing of it is, of course, there's always a plus and minus with renting a new is slightly smaller, but everything is new, and you might be concerned that, you might spoil things in the house. It's very obvious because it's new, right? But one of the plus points that I would say is because most of the appliances come with a 1-year manufacturer a guarantee warranty.
1 or 2 years
So
for
yeah,
the
so yeah.
appliances.
So
And
what
also the
happens-
developer's warranty.
Yeah, so
right?
anything that spoils is much easier to fix in the beginning because everything is still under warranty.
Yeah, so older apartments once again tend to be a little bit more spacious, so
Yeah,
you
bigger,
get more
yes.
space for your money. But the newer apartment, generally it's like a new car, right? Typically
Less hassle,
slightly
yeah.
less problems.
So
less hassle.
it really depends on what you're looking for. But if you really need a bigger apartment, then go with an older apartment. Just bear in mind to be more careful in terms of checking for all the leakage problems and stuff like this before you kind of sign off on your tenancy. Yes.
So what are some of the things you guys would like to see in these kind of episodes? What are some of the things on your mind? Leave it on the comment section below. We will try to do more of these episodes to explain just the practical side of real estate. I know a lot of this is common sense, but it is always good, like a pilot, to be with a checklist.
Yes. Or even some of your experiences about handing over and some of the problems you face, you could leave it in the comment section below. We would like to keep this an open dialogue, so we would like to know what are some of the things you guys have experienced as well.
So I think we've come to the end of this episode. So once again, I'm Richard.
I'm Sharon.
We are the Janys, and we'll see you on the next Boots on the Ground.